And greetings. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. This is just hopefully a very short episode here. Testing 1 2 1 2. Sounds good. Aha. There we go. And I'm just gonna do just working on a little recording for some more of the David Crowley series, which is just a compilation of just different short videos about the Crowley case. And I need to do some recording and figured, hey, why not just go live here for a couple minutes while I do this recording audio. So that's what I'm gonna do here. What I'm working on right now is the Gray State press kit. So I'm just going to be recording some audio related to the Gray State press kit that just came out. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And what we have is I've finally added this to the website, thegraystage.com, thegraystage.wordpress.com. Either one of those will take you here. And so on the website, all the articles, I've also added the podcast to the very top here too, right under the book. So the most latest podcast episode will always show up here. So I need to make sure that I have the most latest one. I got a few bonus episodes too that I want to put up here. But just for right now, that's what I have. Of course, all of the different topics, the articles, try to make it easy as possible with the limitations of WordPress, but everything is definitely on the site except for, no, I added Dan Hinnan's conversation with Kenneth Maines. So that is added. I also added the press kit. For some reason, it looks like I've added it twice. I have no idea why that was done, but I will definitely correct that. I don't know if I can edit that or not right here. I'm probably not logged in, but that's okay. Just the purpose of this right now is I'm just going to do some recording. But if you're looking for any documents, you will definitely find them here. So the Gray State Press Kit is the most recent one that I've added. Text messages with Mason Hendricks. There's a lot of interesting stuff here, but try to just put it all into one area for everybody. And so there's Kenneth Main's summary, if you want to read his summary there. And then we have the correspondence, 26 pages of the correspondence with Dan Hinnan and Ken Maines. So that is also there. I have a rough transcript of my chat with the friend of Kamel and Sidra, Alam, that some of this will end up going into the book that we're collaborating on called Buried Truth. So that is also there too, and a lot of other things depending on what you're looking for. And of course, the podcasts at the front and the bottom, some other videos, some comments. But what I really want to do here today, I'm just going to record some things here. I'm going to keep the chat room open if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to do some brief recording, which I've already started here, looking at the Gray State press release that was given to us by Ross Garashi of Planet X Filmworks, Planet X Records, and very good friend, someone who actually communicated with David Crowley. And this is the press release kit that Ross recently sent over to us as a PDF. He has the correspondences between him and David and he. And so hopefully this Sunday, Ross and I will be going over that, or this Saturday. So that would be January 28th, probably around noon, most likely. But this is the 18 pages, and this pretty much gives you everything that you need to know about the Gray State at that time. And this has got to be related to the 2013 script, because by the 2014 script, it's completely different from this. So this is good to have here. I'm going to ask Ross what date this was, and we'll talk about the background for it and get some more background information. So you have the log line, the short synopsis, and the long synopsis, which does match with the 2013 script that we have. Although, and people being dissenters publicly executed for treason of the state. And let me see if I can make this bigger. I know it's like stretched out, and I guess that's just how it was. That's how it was given. So the director's statement: what is the gray state? Weaving together the worlds of conspiracy, economic collapse, global disaster, end time prophecies, martial law, and growing civil unrest. Gray State is both a film and a warning. And as a filmmaker, I warn you, I have no obligation to tell you a story that will keep you comfortable. Yet, do we not, as a culture, respond to the baser callings of our nature and gather together in the dark? Oh, all right. I am back. I believe I'm back. Yeah, back. Okay. Just going to continue a little bit more reading some of this. And again, this is all going to be adding just the audio to another David Crowley video I'm working on here. So just reading it because for whatever reason it comes through very good in this. So this is still on page 3 of the 18-page press release. Press kit, Gray State press kit. We do not, as a culture, respond to baser callings of our nature and gather together in the dark, as our distant ancestors did, to commune in story and lend voices. Oh, read that wrong. Yet do we not, as a culture, respond to the baser callings of our nature and gather together in the dark, as our distant ancestors did, to commune in story and lend voice to our fears? I'll try to read that again. Yet do we not, as a culture, respond to the baser callings of our nature and gather together in the dark, as our distant ancestors did, to commune in story and lend voice to our fears? Do we not seek the artistic expression of what we fear most? To reread that. Do we not seek the artistic expression of what we fear most, and from the safety of our seats, delight? It sounds kind of weird. Do we not seek the artistic expression of what we fear most, and from the safety of our seats, delight and thrill in the terror of what might be? As any storyteller who communicates truth, I can lead you to the darkest recesses of your imagination. We know this feeling and love it, yet I will remove the safety net of make-believe and reveal to you my most frightening thing, that the gray state is not a product of my imagination. It is a product of yours. You know this can happen. It's pretty chilling. The gray state story is an effort to draw the human element out of the carnage of any number of doomsday scenarios that our world faces, caused by the various despairing plagues of our time. This is the enduring nature of humanity, to find hope amongst the ruins. Though the turbulent, horrific, and often inspiring conflicts of man versus man, people versus state, and liberty versus tyranny, through the turbulent, horrific, and often inspiring conflicts of man versus man, people versus state, and liberty versus tyranny, there exists a deeper meaning to the essence of the human struggle. Residing at a base of our being and spelled out in terms of those who will rule over others through coercion and those who will elect not to be ruled. This is where we find hope, in the impossible belief that the act of our resistance may not die with our bodies, and the fruits of victory will be enjoyed. Even if by someone else, someone who will carry on the hope, the red fire of our better natures. Yet in words coined by supervillains and echoed in the turbulence of our times, there can be no true despair without hope. While we may yet have the luxury to sigh in relief that the gray state is confined to the screen, one must at least consider the warning and imagine that we may be the ones who are confined in the dark, and the gray state our silent, festering companion. It is that hope that this is not possible, that when it is over, we will be allowed to return to our lives, that we do not share our reality with this ugly, brooding thing that allows for true despair. The gray state may not let you off so easily as to convince you that the fragile boundaries that separate you from it are not real. So what is the gray state? Well, you already know. That's David Crowley, the director, and that's there on page 4. Development. So then he talks about the development of gray state. How it all started. Gray State emerged from hundreds of hours of research into the various possible end of America scenarios. And while compelling, the filmmakers knew that to model a film based on the spectacle of doomsday would be to condemn it only to being as good as 2012 or Day After Tomorrow. That is to say that our audience would come from the special effects. That is to say that our audience would come for the special effects and stay for the popcorn, and the film would slip quickly into unremembered obscurity. Stories, of course, do not come from watching a bunch of things happen to people. The story emerges from extracting the enduring human truth from the chaos of the character's context, whatever it may be. So much of the nearly 2 years developing the Gray State concept has been spent crafting a human story to be set against the chaotic world in which it takes place. How's the audio? Let me know if the audio is coming in okay. I'm just trying to record some audio for a future project here. There's a lot of good stuff in this. Audio is good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. But still, this chaotic world needs to be described. So the filmmakers set about producing a concept trailer that could be used for promotional, marketing, and fundraising purposes. Produced entirely by David Crowley and Mitch Heil of Hothead Productions, LLC, the concept trailer is an effort to describe the terror, desperation, and emotional scale of the Gray State world, packaged in miniature on the independent level in order to present a vision of a possible near-future dystopian consequence that would hopefully express the zeitgeist of our turbulent times. Whew, that's a long sentence there. Hey, everybody. Hey, Sophia. Hey, Catherine. Whew. November 2010. The Gray State idea, through the research of Danny Mason and David Crowley, emerged. Characters began to flesh out. Specific images to communicate intent were storyboarded, and the story grew. However, the story development process has adapted and evolved with the complexities of the scale in which it takes place. So in order to truthfully capture the essence of the character archetypes. So in order to truthfully capture the essence of the character archetypes. That doesn't sound, I don't know if I'm saying that right. So in order to truthfully capture the essence of the character archetypes manifested in Gray State, the script revisions continue. So here you have two things in the development, produced entirely by David Crowley and Mitch Heil. Entirely. But the idea, the Gray State idea, through the research of Danny Mason and David Crowley, began back in November of 2010. That's what it's saying here. I think it's archetypes. It just sounds weird. Technical challenges. We spent some time choosing the look of the trailer by experimenting with exposure and shutter speeds in a series of camera testing sessions. This testing culminated in a 45-second visual effect test with Gray State lead actors H.C. Altman and Danny Mason, in which we implemented tests of a number of different effects we intended to use for Gray State, including duplication of people on screen. I remember this one. And he gives the link to the Vimeo. I wonder if that Vimeo video is still up there. If it is, we should grab it before it gets taken down. But I have seen this on YouTube too, and that is a very good concept. It's almost has like a Predator feel to it. And I didn't realize only 45 seconds. It's really good. That's a really good one there. And just based on those 40 on that 45-second little visual effects tests, you could tell the talent, the talent. Oh, thank you. I'm pronouncing it correctly. Okay, I wasn't sure. It just sounded weird. Archetype? I want to say archetype, but forget that E. But yeah, that was that 45-second clip I thought was really good. What about locations? While independent films have proven again and again that they are about the while independent films have proven again and again that they are able to pull off amazing battle sequences on relatively small budgets, how much were we willing to invest in battle scenes that may only be shown for a few seconds in a concept trailer? After debating the costs of securing locations and putting up the cash for dozens of fully equipped combat trained personnel with assault gear, we realized that it would simply not be feasible to shoot these scenes practically. And even if we could, we would be confined to the same grungy backlot locations that appear in every post apocalyptic film. No, we wanted to show ritzy downtown areas. We wanted to show iconic University of Minnesota buildings. And we wanted to bring the battle home to our streets. We decided we could capture the scale we wanted by using an experimental visual effects technique known as 2.5D. 2.5D. Interesting. I've seen some of these clips here too. It's good stuff. Dude was really talented. Was just getting started. Combining real background plates with carefully shot foreground composite elements, we were able to simulate a real 3D environment by animating a simulated camera in an artificial environment in After Effects, a widely used consumer compositing program. This would create the illusion of a documentary style mobile camera that could look around the background while all the foreground elements shifted accordingly. Once the backgrounds were significantly matte painted, and composite elements were installed in the scene, the shot could be timed out carefully with interactions between all the elements. Even 3D vehicle models designed in Maya. Even 3D vehicle models designed in Maya. In this way, we were able to use composites of the same actors in different outfits to create the illusion of massive numbers of troops and achieve a scale otherwise impossible for our budget. That's all 2010. Interesting. Still think there's probably enough footage, B-roll footage, all this footage out there to make some type of a short film. But the problem is who would be trusted to actually do that. Kind of reminds me of The Game of Death, the Bruce Lee movie called Game of Death. Bruce Lee's last movie that he never finished filming. And the final version of Game of Death is a complete joke. It just really butchers Bruce Lee's concept and his story and his script that we got later on. And the story for Bruce Lee's script was awesome. The final Hollywood product we got was trash, just complete garbage. So I don't know. Maybe that's what would happen with this. There's just so much here. I feel like they could do something. But again, who? Casting. February 2011. Eventually, pre-production expanded into lead talent casting. We knew that in order to hint at the underlying narrative that the trailer would follow, they needed solid performances from a core group of characters who would carry the trailer's story. While the trailer did not, unfortunately, require much in the way of line delivery. Oh, let me read that again. While the trailer did not, unfortunately, require much in the way of line delivery, the carefully chosen actors proved their abilities based on looks and mannerisms that were necessary to communicate quickly what the shots were about. That is so true. They did a really good job at that. Very good job at communicating that. It's almost like a silent. It's a silent movie, right? Like an old school silent movie. Never thought of it like that. Hey Nova, how are you? The Minneapolis-based talent were excited to be a part of the Gray State process, even though they knew it was only a concept trailer and they were not being cast for the feature film yet. This dedication from the cast This dedication from the cast to the message and this dedication from the cast to the message and feel of Gray State is what allowed for such visceral. This dedication from the cast to the message and feel of Gray State is what allowed for such visceral, powerful images. Absolutely. That's interesting here too. This is a very, I mean, there's some good legal stuff in here. uh, Minneapolis-based talent were excited to be part of the Gray State process, even though they knew it was only a concept trailer and they were not being cast for the feature film yet. Very important right there. Almost a slap in the face to Danny Mason. Production, March 2011. Production on the Gray State concept trailer began. We began shooting the simpler visual effects composite. Yeah. We began shooting the simpler visual effects. We began shooting the simpler visual effects composites and single shot setups while hunting locations throughout Minneapolis, its suburbs, and the University of Minnesota for places hospitable to its many intended battle sequences. I'll read that again. I catch my breath. Happy day, everyone. And again, I'm just kind of reading through some of this stuff for a narration, a feature narration. So you may hear me go back and say the same things a couple times, which I'm going to do right now. We began shooting the simpler visual effects composites and single shot setups while hunting locations throughout Minneapolis, its suburbs, and the University of Minnesota for places hospitable to its many intended battle sequences. These scenes grew in scale from 3 full days in a professional studio shooting visual effects sequences to a full riot scenario shot with nearly 100 extra and 9 to a full riot scenario shot with nearly 100 extras and 9 cameras. 100, almost 100 extras. It's crazy. That's probably that one shot that we have where it shows a huge panoramic shot almost of all of these people that probably participated in Gray State in that trailer. This is all before the 2012 trailer. This is the stuff that I wanted, that I was so happy to read, giving me more background of that 2012 trailer. Pretty interesting. All right. July 2011. The last of the scenes were wrapped, ending with a rainy night shoot and intense militia battle scenes. and intense militia battle scenes. And intense militia battle scene. Oh, it's a hard word for me to say. This is where my stutter comes out in that word. Militia. And intense militia battle scenes. Militia battle scenes. Intense militia battle scenes. All right, it's the best I can do there. So it's done. July 2011. The last scene. That's pretty interesting, too. One of the last scenes is that guillotine shot. That's very interesting to know. And they're going to give us also some of the people that were in that scene, which is, to me, is one of the strangest scenes in this whole thing. Scariest scenes. Your OCD is off the chart right now. Spelling. I can imagine. I'm sure. Production notes. Post-production, August 2011 to August 2012. Sorry. I was just laughing at Catherine's comment in the chat. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I don't know if anyone has read this or has gone through this, but this 18 pages really gives us, I mean, this is the stuff that you want from David Crowley, not other people saying, oh, he was involved or he went crazy and went into this downward spiral. Look at how articulate this stuff is, minus the spelling and grammar, I'm sure. But I mean, just the effort, all the effort that they put into this is pretty fascinating to me. They spent a year in post-production, August 2011 to August 2012. Wow. I'm correcting it as he's reading. Where are we at here? By the time we moved into the post-production stage, we had acquired several terabytes of material that would have to be carefully refined into a 2.5-minute trailer. In the process, that's a long run-on sentence. I start again. By the time we moved into the post-production stage, we had acquired several terabytes of material that would have to be carefully refined into a 2.5-minute trailer in a process that would take a full year. Under the guidance of a few local 3D animating and compositing professionals, Mitch and David completed the visual effects work themselves. In addition to the necessities of composing original music, writing the scripts, shooting interviews, and preparing for the eventual online marketing campaign that would propel Gray State into the national spotlight. Ugh. I'm going to read that again. Mitch and Howe completed the visual effects work themselves. In addition to the necessities of composing original music, writing the script, shooting interviews, and preparing for the eventual online marketing campaign that would propel Gray State into the national spotlight. This often meant 17-hour days of working on nothing but the many demanding and challenging aspect of Gray State post-production for literally months at a time. Interesting. So 17-hour days for months at a time. Nobody ever snapped then. Nobody went crazy then, right? Who knows? I wonder if a plan to get rid of David had been formulating since way back then. It's an interesting thought. Yeah, I saw a few without my editing software or grammar and spelling software. Software I use for writing is pretty good, but yeah, sometimes even their grammar is a little harsh to deal with. Writing a book is the most challenging thing that I have ever done and will ever do. And you can only do your best. That's it. And I love writing. Let's see. And despite the heavy workload and careful project management, the trailer wasn't even completed until the morning of July 31st, 2012, the same day it was scheduled to be premiered at the cast crew wrap up party. But the hard work paid off and we met our deadline. Oh, I hate deadlines. That's pretty interesting too. So the trailer came out, I think, like August 5th, 2012. And they had, but this is, he's saying they had, I remember him talking, or we've seen parties of the cast crew wrap party where they showed this trailer. A lot of people were involved in this, they're probably just happy to just be there, to just be part of it, not trying to make money off of it, not trying to do anything, but just to help get their foot in the door as an actor, as somebody in, film lovers. That's what it sounded like to me. That's what it looked like to me in a lot of the stuff that I saw. So the hard work paid off and they met their deadline. There you go. Can't see what type of beer Mitch Heil drinks there. Marketing the gray state. The time spent underground in post-production was judiciously spent gathering the hype needed to generate the viral response a trailer received the moment it was released. Through a carefully nurtured online promotional campaign that grew to a following of 4,000 even before the trailer was released, we were able to elevate the level of interest accordingly and target our primary demographic ahead of time. In a process we have described as rigging the Christmas tree before plugging it in. Got to go back to that one. In a process we have described as rigging the Christmas tree before plugging it in, we set up the structure necessary to propel interest in the trailer prior to releasing it, and it has gone viral since. That's an interesting thing. Rigging the Christmas tree before plugging it in. Could infer a lot from that. The buzz has been instrumental not only to fuel our crowdfunding campaign, but to show potential investors that there is a legitimate interest in this project, and literally millions of people who support it and would pay to see it in theaters. The buzz has been instrumental not only to fuel our crowdfunding campaign. The buzz has been instrumental not only to fuel our crowdfunding campaign, but to show potential investors that there is a legitimate interest in this project, and literally millions of people who support it and would pay to see it in theaters. And literally millions of people who support it and would pay to see it in theaters. That has been the intent behind our slow, methodical that has been our intent behind the slow, methodical efforts to prove that we can develop a marketable, commercially viable story that will generate a return, and do it before we've already invested millions in creating that product. Before they've already invested millions in creating that product. So even way back here, they wanted, they knew millions would need to be invested to create the Gray State product, which is what MEG, Michael Entertainment Group, also thought, that it would need millions, somewhere around 20 to 25 to 30 million dollars. Not 20 to 25, 30 million that David Crowley would get. It was a budget. It was an estimated budget. So this part I really like. The bios is really good here too. Don't know if I'll read all these bios. Hey, Johanna. Yeah, Christmas night, right? Christmas night. Yikes. Johanna's talking about the post Danny August Mason made on Christmas night. That is from a movie called The National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So if you haven't seen that movie, um, the quote that Danny August Mason posts may not make sense. Still weird. Let's see. I'm going to read this one for David Crowley. So we're going to read the bios here next for the principal team. The principal team, David Crowley. Prior to completing his BFA at Minnesota School of Business, David served over 5 years in the Army infantry, serving 2 combat tours and learning firsthand what it is like to be only a number on a page. While he has to date completed a number of short films and worked on a few features, and having written and directed his first feature in high school, none of his work thus far has been able to harness the essence of raw experience that has shaped his worldview. Gray State will change that. He is a student of story, history, politics, and art, and strives in all of his work to communicate truth. Mitch Heil. Mitch served 5 years in the Army. Mitch served 5 years in the Army before going to school at the Minnesota School of Business for a BFA in digital video and media production. After working on several short and feature films, he felt ready to tackle the visual complexities Gray State required. He used technical knowledge and skills to fix electrical problems, build props, design sets, and fix broken tools. He understands how to manipulate light. He understands how to manipulate light to create the mood that the script requires. Mitch also strives to learn everything there is to know about cameras, camera equipment, compositing programs, and 3D programs. Danny August Mason. Danny Mason graduated from the University of Kansas, where he studied theater and film studies with a minor in history. He has been working professionally as an actor in the Twin Cities for the past 5 years, while also traveling the country, lecturing on conspiracy theories and the paranormal. He teamed up with David Crowley and Mitch Heil in 2010 while attending their acting program BEAT through the Bullet Exchange. He teamed up with David Crowley and Mitch Heil in 2010 while attending their acting program BEAT through the Bullet Exchange. He is now an instructor for the program's Jeet Kune Do and Kung Fu classes, in which Danny has 15 years of experience. Jeet Kune Do, that's Bruce Lee. Intensity, realism, and knowledge of the unknown is what he brings to the aid and Intensity, realism, and knowledge of the unknown is what he brings to the aid of developing the concept and story of Gray State, which has been developing for 2 years. As an actor, he pushes for an uncompromised truth in his characters. That's pretty interesting. The realism, the knowledge of the quote unknown. That's paranormal stuff. The unknown, I would say. It could be anything. I don't know, but that's what it sounds like to me. I'd love to hear some of his lectures where he's traveling the country lecturing on conspiracy theories and the paranormal. And you have both of those things that he's lecturing on tied to David Crowley's death. I don't know. Come back to that. Concept trailer lead cast. Here you have Charles Hubble. Charles Hubble's versatile and accomplished acting work spans many different fields in arts and entertainment. Mr. Hubble can be seen in films, theater, TV, and print ads, while his voice can be heard in radio ads, animations, and even puppetry. I'm not touching that one. Titles of his film work include The Midnight Chronicles, The Glass House, Hope, and The Nihilist. Nihilist? The Nihilist. His theater repertoire includes Dracul, Titus Andronicus, Macbeth, Caligula, The Homecoming, and One for the Road. Woo, that's tough. I am sure. Dracul, Titus Andronicus, Caligula, only because I've heard that before. Those are tough words. Tough words on this guy. Me. H.T. Altman. I gotta admit, out of all the actors in this, H.T. Altman is probably my favorite in this. I think he plays that role perfectly. There's no speaking here in this either. I think there maybe there could have been. Maybe some people would say there's a good reason why there shouldn't have been. But the presence, this guy to me just has a presence. That's just my view. H.T. Altman. H. Thomas Altman has appeared in a variety of film and television productions. His credit list includes the History Channel's Monster Quest, Shop NBC, Explore Minnesota, and the feature film Into the Void, currently in post-production. HT plans to make each step to HT plans to make each step of the production ladder. Okay. HT plans to make each step up the production ladder larger than his last, and rounding out his resume with producer, casting director, and even taking combat training for several acting roles, he is closer to fulfilling that mission. Kelly Berry Miller. Kelly Berry Miller began her acting career on the stage in upstate New York, taking on lead roles in Barefoot in the Park and West Side Story. Having spent most of her life studying every facet of the performing arts, her breakthrough into film/TV occurred only in the past year while working with Rascal Flatts. Her breakthrough into film/TV occurred only in the past year after working with Rascal Flatts in Nothing Like This, a JCPenney TV special, a JCPenney television special, and appearing in Hollywood feature film Lumpy 2012, as well as in several national Best Buy commercials. With her motto, "Never give up," Kelly continues to make her mark in local film. These three actors, I know after David died, Charles Hubble, there's a couple of quotes from Charles Hubble. I don't know if there's ever been any media who has contacted Kelly Berry Miller or H.T. Altman or ever gotten a quote or anything, but I would be interested to hear H.T. Altman's view on David Crowley's death and Kelly Berry Miller's view on the deaths too. And here we go. What's next for Gray State? Funding the Gray State film. Why all the effort for just a trailer? In addition to the Gray State team being dedicated to producing quality local content over simple quantity, this has been a serious and intentional effort to bring something to the screen that has not been done before. It is a project whose creators believe in it and are dedicated to seeing it come to fruition. The enormous positive response to the trailer proves that the concept has national and even international appeal. And now that hype will be used to prove to our investors that this is a project worth funding. The trailer is a marketing tool to get the funding needed to create the full feature film to the professional scale it deserves. This is not an easy or quick process outside of the Hollywood studio system, but Gray State will not be the first independent film to find incredible commercial success without Hollywood backing. Our first Indiegogo camp our first Indiegogo campaign yielded $62,000, which will be used to hire the necessary above the line professionals, lawyers, producers, marketing specialists, professional script analysts, etc., to propel Gray State through the conceptual stages and into pre-production. This initial effort will give the core Gray State creative team the resources to develop a professional production schedule, script breakdown, and begin seeking major franchise and begin seeking major financing and distribution deals. That's pretty interesting. I love this. The core Gray State creative team. Ooh, I'd love to know who that is. Who they consider the core Gray State team. Oh boy. Let's see. So they're talking about sharing it on YouTube. Okay. They will be seeking the budget of the team is seeking will be at least several $1,000,000, depending on both the script's bracketed professional breakdown estimates and the level of private investor / studio support the team is able to wrangle. However, the smashing success of the first crowdfunding campaign indicates that this is a project with wide appeal, and the team is very optimistic about its near future financial goals. Every time I hear about the team before 2014, it's very interesting because then it makes you want to know, who is this team and why was David cutting out this team in 2014? That's what happens later on. This team will not be a team in 2014. Additionally, there are still several stages of promotion that are in the works, including a multifaceted, dynamic, and truly intelligent national marketing campaign that has never been attempted before. But this will not be implemented until the film itself is in production. This is an incremental approach to a grassroots-style independent film effort that will be produced on par with Hollywood industry standards. Blech. This is an incremental approach to a grassroots-style independent film effort that will be produced on par with Hollywood industry standards. There's a tongue twister. So then it gets into some of the things about what they're saying about what's being said about Gray State. Remember, this is all like a pitch, pretty much. And so you can hear we got the same cast of characters: Gary Franchi, Red Pill don't know who that is. Ron Paul Forum. Yeah, lots of on the Ron Paul forums. David was really probably making his way around there. Best trailer, Gray State Underdogs Film Showcase, San Marcos, Texas, 2012. Very interesting. Best trailer. Print media. Owatonna People's Press. That's a local one. So Gray State is seeking publicity. That's, yep. This image I've seen floated around, and I had no idea where the image came from. Now it makes sense. Now I know where it came from. It came from people having this same press kit. A lot of people had this, and you can see there's Planet X Records. That is Ross Garashi right there. And then a lot of other people as well as Jordan Page, We Are Change. Over here, the notable attachment: these individuals have given interviews to the Gray State team about the contentious political and social strata surrounding the project. I did not know that Abby Martin interviewed the Gray State guys. That I did not know. Where are these interviews here? I need to see all these interviews. Jason Burmis, I haven't seen that one. I've seen the Alex Jones one, seen the Gary Franchi one. Where's all these other interviews? But the Abby Martin one would be one that I would be very curious about. Because, yeah, I know a little bit about Abby Martin. Just a little. Abby Martin, I consider Abby Martin a friend. We met in We Are Change. And I thought was just a really nice, very cool person. My music producer and her brother actually are friends too, so that was pretty interesting to find out. It's a very small world there. And then they talk about becoming a sponsor. They give you some of the set photos behind the scenes. Good stuff there. Probably a lot of stuff you can find in the Facebook group or Facebook page. So that's all good stuff. And then the credits here. I would have to really maximize some of this stuff to see what the credits are. The credits are very important here, though. Very important. Because Danny August Mason is listed as a producer in this here. So Mark Casper is another name that comes to mind. I've heard that before. But you can see everybody. I mean, they pretty much give you the whole list of everyone there. The thing that kind of stuck out to me. Well, let's go look over here and look at the cast a little bit before I wrap this one up here. So the cast. This is another interesting one here. You got the cast: SWAT Lieutenant John. Danny August Mason is John. SWAT Lieutenant, SWAT agents, FEMA, shoppers, TV watchers, doctor, patient. TV watcher, yeah, Camilla and Ryan, I was going to say they should be there too. That's pretty interesting. A producer is not a writer. That's true. Therefore, he's not entitled to copyright. He's a creator. He's a co-creator at some point. So I don't know. Riot Police. Dan Crowley, David's brother, part of the Riot Police. Who else? Eric Packizer. That's another name we know about. He is part of the Riot Police too. That's pretty interesting. Dan Carroll is another interesting name there too. Not the same. Yeah, I'm sure it's not the same. Cast of protesters. You can see all of the different protesters there. National Guard, UN shock troops. That's pretty interesting. Where's the execute? Yeah, I want to get to the executioner, civilians, militia. But the executioner, Bob Cummings was the executioner in those sequences. The execution victims. There's Sean Wright. Knew he'd be floating around here somewhere. Brian Peterson, Jamie Vernick, and Shannon Troy Jones. So that's one of the weirdest scenes there, the executioner scene. That was pretty interesting. The execution crowd. That's pretty funny too. Let's take a look at who's in the execution crowd here. I think anyone I've known before. Don't think so. The British soldiers. So edited on Final Cut Pro 7, visual effects created in Adobe After Effects and Maya, graded in Apple Color. Good stuff here, man. I mean, for just two guys, David and Mitch, is just a great job, an amazing job. The characters and the events in this motion picture are fictitious. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Got to get that out there. And then, of course, last page here, the Contact Me page. Great state, Mitch Heil. Mitch Heil handles the donations and the perk disbursement. David Crowley, writer and director. Only one with the writer credit, right? David at hotheadproductions.com. They give you all of the film sites there. And that's it. Pretty interesting. Oh, yeah, Mark Casper. I knew I saw it. So Mark Casper was tied to the virtual effects. Written and directed by David Crowley. There you go. Well, that's all I wanted to cover here today, my friends. God bless you all. I appreciate you all going through this just to help me kind of get all of this out. And that's all that I really wanted to do here during this session. Hopefully, I'll be back on Saturday. Saturday afternoon is the plan to come back here on the Gray Stage channel. And Ross and I will be going over not only the press kit that we just read through, we'll also be going over the emails between Ross and David going back and forth. So we have all that, and I think it'll be good to kind of go through it. And everything we just went through will definitely end up being part of the next collaboration book, or the first collaboration book here, called Buried Truth. So I think we have 9 or 10 authors right now. So very, very excited about this project, and not going to rush it. We're going to do it right, because even after it's all done, the post-production stuff will also take some time to make sure that the formatting is correct. The thing I'm most worried about are the photos, or the images showing up correctly and not blurry, like what happened with the first book, where some of the images were kind of blurry. So hopefully we won't have those issues with this, and we won't put it out until we have everything completely fixed and everything completely, all the issues solved there. So that is it. God bless you all, and hopefully you'll come back here Saturday, probably 12 p.m. Pacific time, California time, on this Saturday. That is January 28th. And until then, I will catch you all later. God bless. Have a great night.